Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video tutorial. This will be the third board in the elephant opening versus left central cannon opening system. This board would be slightly different from the previous two boards that were uploaded previously in the past. So without further ado, let us begin. Elephant opening, left central cannon, h8 plus 7. Note that h2 plus 3 was not played, so this would allow Red to keep his options open to decide whether he wants to develop both horses as proper horses, or in this case the Palcorner Cannon for the sandwich horse defense formation. Now theoretically speaking, one of the sandwich horse defense is considered to be a viable counter to the central cannon if we were played as black. Now if the colors were reversed, theoretically speaking, Red would have the extra move of making the first move, or the first move initiative. So theoretically speaking, it would be much viable, or even to Red's favor. However, there's a catch, because e3 plus 5 was played as the first move. The success of Red's opening would hinge on the ability of Red to make sure that this move became efficient and would be able to live up to its potential. So Red must try to expand on this first move initiative while countering Black's attack. Now at this point in time, Black would usually play r9 equals to 8. Now, in the past, r9 plus 1 can be also seen, but in comparison to r9 equals to 8, developing the chariot as a ranked chariot is much less commonly seen. The authors only gave a simple line, which was Black would play r9 equals to 6 to limit the effects of this cannon. Red protects the cannon, and Black will go ahead with by developing both horses as proper horses for attack along the central file. Notice that neither color has pushed either the third or seventh pawn. Red will usually play c8 plus 2, and this would be a very versatile move, threatening to play c8 equals to 7 to attack this horse, or c8 equals to 3 to attack this horse, or even p7 plus 1 to patrol the riverbank. p3 plus 1, if Black counters with p3 plus 1, Red will counter with p3 plus 1 also, thus allowing Red the option of playing c8 equals to 4 to dislodge the Black chariot and activate this left chariot. Black will usually not want that to happen. He will advance, threatening the horse, which would simply run away to the riverbank, and Red would have the initiative. So r9 plus 1 is not so commonly seen, and usually Red will be more than able to handle Black's aggression. So r9 equals to 8 is usually seen. h2 plus 3 for the sandwich horse defense. p7 plus 1, as Black would usually choose to push this pawn, because in the sandwich horse defense, this horse instead of this horse, the development of this horse is very important. If Red were able to develop this horse successfully, he will usually have a successful opening. Red will counter likewise, and this would be the position of discussion. Black would go for the edge horse and prepare to keep his options open for c2 equals to 3 or c2 equals to 4, or even push the cannon across the river. Now, the two main variations that are discussed, first would be p9 plus 1, and the second would be a4 plus 5. In variation A, p9 plus 1 is played. Now, this would not be recommended, as will be seen slightly later on. Now, under most circumstances, it would be a good idea for Red to push the pawn forward to limit the development of the enemy horse. However, in this situation, doing so would not limit the development of this horse, as will be seen, so this move would not be as good. And in retaliation, Black would usually play c2 equals to 4 instead of c2 equals to 3. Now, This, if c2 equals to 3 were played for the 5-7 cannons formation, red will play r9 equals to 8, develop, and red will simply push the cannon across the river to form a blockade targeting the central pawn, etc. So it will be red's 2 pieces, more or less obstructing the development of black's 3 pieces on this flank. So if we were to, red would have a slight advantage. Now, if we were to compare this situation with the colors reversed, usually black would be able to play p1 plus 1 to try to develop his right horse to counter red's aggression. However, in this situation, because p9 plus 1 were played, this would not be possible, and red would have a strong hold of initiative firmly in hand. This is when c2 equals to 3 were played. But as mentioned earlier, p9 plus 1 was not a good move, and that is why it is suggested that black plays c2 equals to 4, as will be seen slightly later on. Red will usually continue with r9 equals to 8 as part of his plans to develop his left flank. r1 equals to 2, and red will go for the central to push his cannon across the river. Now, this position and this position is different because of black's cannon. In this situation, because the cannon was at the palace corner, black would now be able to play h1 minus 3 to threaten the cannon, forcing it to put forward, and black would now take the opportunity to push the central pawn forward. He will prepare to play h3 plus 4 and trade central pawns, and thus gain a powerful attack on the central file. Notice that red's right chariot had not been developed, and the only piece protecting the central pawn would be this horse, which was also needed to protect this chariot. Now, because black had played c2 equals to 4 instead of c2 equals to 3, black would now be able to play h3 plus 4. So there's a subtle but very huge difference, significance in the difference of the cannons. And looking at this position at this point in time, we will see that red's earlier move of p9 plus 1 would not have would be now have been made in vain. It would not be able to do anything much because the black horse would be developed from the center. So that is why variation A over p9 plus 1 is not considered to be a good move. Now, if we were to, the recommended move for red would be to play a4 plus 5, whereby red will adopt a slow but steady approach, whereby he will consolidate his defenses first and see how black would attack. Now, according to the authors, it would be almost impossible for black to try to exploit red, or break through red's defense. Usually, black will play r1 plus 1. Now, red will play p9 plus 1, and p9 plus 1 will be a much better move at this point in time because the black chariot had been developed as a rank chariot. So the possibility of playing h3 minus h1 minus 3 followed by h3 plus 4 would not be present anymore. So now p9 plus 1 would instead be a good move. I could continue with r1 equals to 6, threatening the cannon. Red will continue to push the pawn across the river, and the red chariot would now have successfully prevent the development of this black horse. Now, red would also threaten to capture the pawn and thus push the pawn forward for attack. Black must protect the pawn, but which chariot would be very important. The correct chariot to move would be r8 plus 4. If r6 plus 3 were played, red would be more than happy to trade chariots, after which he would play c4 plus 7 to capture the advisor. Now this would be a pseudo sacrifice because after c4 plus 7, let's say black captured, red will play r1 equals to 4 and immediately gain back lost material. Black would have wasted one move moving the king out and the king back in again, and would have lost one advisor. And also, red would have already consolidated his defense. This left horse will be ready to go, ready to attack, and red would have a significant advantage. So RA plus 4 would be the correct move. Red would command this important bit file, black will consolidate its defense, and red will start attacking. Now red would have the advantage at this point in time. Now in variation B, after playing a4 plus 5, red will patiently wait for opportunities to attack, and he can also still keep the initiative of this first move firmly in hand, because p7 plus 1 would not be a possibility due to the presence of e3 plus 5. So let us do a short review of the board in the eyes of black. Elephant opening, left central cannon. Red adopts the sandwich horse defense. p7 plus 1, p7 plus 1, and edge horse defense, the edge horse. And variation A, p9 plus 1, not recommended for red. Black will go for c2 equals to 4 to allow for the horse to be developed in this manner. And after a series of extrades, black would now have seized the advantage. Variation B, a4 plus 5. Black continues to consolidate his defense. Black tries to attack. p9 plus 1 will be a good move now, because red will be allowed to develop his chariot in this manner. Correct chariot to move. If r6 plus 3, red will go for pseudo sacrifice and gain advantage. r9 equals to 6, a4 plus 5, p7 plus 1, and red would have the advantage firmly in hand. So it is recommended for red to play a4 plus 5 instead of p9 plus 1. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up.